I spoke to those who were here last week about letting me know what you want to work on. And I think first week we worked on unconditional love, and last week, the other way around, and how to be happy now. And then Tess suggested we did abundance from a place of gratitude, which we did last time. But anyway, someone suggested we work on anxiety and stress this week. So we're going to be talking about that. Some of you who train with me as JHA will know my thinking on anxiety and stress and fear, irrational fear and anxiety. But I'm going to talk about it today, how we develop it, what it is, why it's completely useless, and how we can let go of it. And if you are here, and if you do have any, when we work with chronic pain, I always kind of name it as useless, unnecessary pain that's outgrown its usefulness, that we no longer need. I'm going to use the same terms for stress and anxiety. So the useless, unnecessary stress and anxiety you're feeling. And if you're here because you are experiencing some kind of anxiety, by the end of this session, I fully expect you'll be free of it. But we'll get into how my beliefs and how we develop anxiety or irrational fear. And then I'm going to show you how to eliminate from your life. And if you are therapists, I know a lot of you are, I know a lot of you are working with other people and doing great work, then maybe it's something you think, oh, I can utilize it in that way. So let's first talk about very basically how we create fear and anxiety. And this is just Freddy theories, right? Freddy theories. So it's not carved in stone. You can believe me or not. As I said, it's always the things I say to you are only ever my opinion. But our opinions based on working with lots and lots of people over the years. So I have a kind of legitimate right to have an opinion on how fears and anxieties develop. So this is it. There's a part of our brain, it's called the amygdala. And every creature with a vertebrae has an amygdala. In a human being, it's about the size of an almond. And it's probably, because every creature with a vertebrae has it, it's probably the most primitive part of a human being. It's pretty much the same as it was when we first crawled out of the water and stood on our hind legs for the first time. It's been there forever, and it's pretty much hasn't changed. And every piece of information that comes in through our senses, for our touch, smell, taste, all of those things, hearing, every bit of information goes through the amygdala first, before it reaches this frontal lobe, as we call it, where we make a decision on whether it's dangerous or not. And it works brilliantly for us. If you're a child and you touch something hot, you don't have to touch it 5 times to realize that really hurt. The moment you touch that object and you feel the pain, the amygdala will fire off. It will take a snapshot of that object, and for the rest of your life, it will scan the environment for anything that looks like that, so you don't hurt yourself again. It's like a one-stop learning. There are 2 ways of learning a fear or a phobia. That's the first one. A dog jumps up and bites you, you feel the pain, you see the dog, you smell the dog. Everything about that dog in a millisecond is registered in the amygdala. And from then on, it's scanning the environment. Anything that looks like that, so you don't get hurt again. It works that quickly. And the other way is to learn it from somebody. So if you're a child and your parents are afraid of wasps or bees, and we're not born with a fear of wasps and bees, we probably think they're quite cute when we're little kids. But if you see your mother or your father flapping around when there's a wasp, you'll think, well, they're an adult, I'm a child. That must be scary. And then we use our imagination. We think about how that might hurt us. At this point in time, we've not been stung by a bee or a wasp, but we imagine what it feels like to be hurt. What happens then in our mind is that it becomes an automatic imagination. We see a wasp and we feel the anxiety. It just happens. But if you were to ask a child then, or a person then, have you ever been stung by a wasp? They'll say no. Then why are you feeling anxious? Because I imagine that's going to hurt. So that's the second stage. The first stage is we imagine something. The second stage is that imagination becomes automatic. We just see something and the adrenaline pumps. And then the third part is we forget that we initially imagined it. Now, if we're imagining something, try and stay with me here. If we're imagining something and then we forget we're imagining it, to our mind and body, it's real. How many of you have watched a film and cried, or laughed, or got excited, or whatever it might be? Even though part of our brain knows we're just watching a screen, we can still become emotional. We can still jump. We can, if it's a scary movie or whatever it might be, we forget for a moment that we're imagining it. And to our mind and body, it's real. So I'm going to come back to this in a moment. So if we were to remind ourselves all the time that, especially with irrational fears, things that are irrational, things that we like, buttons or feathers or birds, things that a lot of people are frightened of, but they've never experienced that pain. They've never actually experienced it. They've only ever imagined it. Then we can remind ourselves that it's just our imagination. We're going to come back to this in a moment. So the amygdala fires off. It takes a snapshot of the object, and for the rest of your life, it's scanning the environment for anything that looks like that. That's why some of you who are therapists will have seen people with very, very odd phobias. Balloon phobias, feather phobias, milk phobias, things that we know are definitely not dangerous, but to that person, they are dangerous. You can try and convince them otherwise, but they're not going to be convinced, because I saw a man once. He was a rugby player. Now this man would take on 6 massive guys on a rugby pitch fearlessly, but he would not go in a room with a balloon. And that sounds crazy. And he knew that was crazy. Consciously, he knew that was crazy. But that may as well have been a Bengal tiger in that room. He would sweat, he would shiver, he would shake if he had to go in a room with a balloon, even though he knew consciously it couldn't hurt him. The amygdala was firing off. And some of you will have these experiences where this is like ridiculous, this fear, but it doesn't stop your body from reacting. Our mind and body is super powerful. Let's have a go at this. Let me show you how this is. Any powerful emotion, and that is, a pain. It can be emotional, physical pain. It can be any strong emotion. In that moment, the mind opens up to a suggestion, whether it's self-suggested or suggested by others. Let me show you this. Nolene's here. She loves these things because she knows that she's like, I am not going to do this. It's never going to work for me. I know that. But for all the rest of you, have a go at this, all right, and see what happens. I want you to just put your arm out in front of you like this, at shoulder height. Look at me in the camera and think about the people you love most, whether that's your partner, your grandson, your granddaughter, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. But think about those people right now. Maybe think about the people you've helped who's living their lives differently because of your kindness and your wisdom. And feel that love right now. And as you feel that love, I want you to notice that arm's hanging there all by itself. Get a sense of it hanging there, and there's nothing you can do about that. And when you realize there's nothing you can do about it, I want you to try and get it down and find it goes even higher. And I do not want you to pretend. Push as hard as you can, find that arm going even higher. Put some effort in, find it goes even higher. Now, something really strange is going to happen. The harder you try and get that arm down, the harder the other one's going to lift. Push even harder, find it goes even higher. Something even strange is going to happen now. I want you to notice as the arm hangs there all by itself that you're stuck in that chair and there's nothing you can do about it. And when you realize there's nothing you can do about that, I want you to try and stand up and find you completely stuck. I don't want you to pretend. Try and get out of the chair. That's right. Are you hypnotized? Are you in a trance? Why can't you stand up? I'm going to click my fingers and it's going to go back to normal. And of course, you better put your hand down. Your eyes will close for a split second. When they open, you'll feel incredible and you realize how incredible you are and how loved you are. That's right. You know, where's the hypnosis in this? But you have to understand this is happening to us all the time. There's a moment when you feel pain or someone scares you or someone says something to you, the next thing that's said can bypass any critical resistance to it. And it goes in and it's lodged and it becomes like a piece of programming. And that's why fears and anxieties are so hard to overcome. We can put our conscious mind on it, but it's no longer a conscious act. It's something that just happens. And for you who experience anxiety, that's probably how you feel. You experience it as a happening. I see this, I think about this, and I feel this anxiety. You don't think I'm bringing this on. I'm not going to imagine this so it affects me. It just happens. And that is how hypnosis is. When people are in hypnosis, they're experiencing what's happening to them as non-volitional, if you like. This is just, I'm stuck in this chair, I can't get out. My arm is hanging there, I can't get it down. Some of you had the experience, some of you maybe not. But that's how people experience their fear and anxiety. And so it's like everything else. When we realize that it's our imagination that's holding us to these things, we can just decide to imagine it differently. I'm going to say something. Some of you heard me say this before. I'm going to say this. Nothing's real. And what I mean by that is that when we think about our past, it's not exactly as it was because our memory is not 100%. And even if it was, there's nothing we can do about it. It's in that void, that vacuum that stretches back to the Big Bang. So there's no point in worrying about it or thinking about it or regretting it because there's nothing we can do about it. That's done. Our future hasn't happened yet. It can only be imagined. If you're anxious or worried about something, the chances are you are thinking about something that's coming up. Are you not? If you're anxious or worried about something, you are thinking about something that's coming up in your life. Let me tell you, there is only this moment. And this moment is so minuscule, it cannot be measured on one of those atomic clocks. There is only this moment. Your past is a void and your future hasn't happened. There is only this moment. Whether you're a hypnotherapist, whether you're a therapist of any kind, you can do this. And I know some of you are. The next time you meet a friend who says they're feeling anxious, you can change their day and you can change their life by saying these words. Imagine it differently. Imagine it differently. We can change our lives by just doing that. Once we recognize that what we're anxious about is only our imagination, it is in this point in time, it is not real. Some years ago, my son will be able to tell you all the kind of details about this because he's got that kind of brain. But I did some research and on how the mind works. And I gave this guy a simple task. I put him in one of those scanners that you can see the activity of your brain, MRI scan or whatever it might be. So they wired him up and then they gave him a simple task. And the task was this: to press a button in his right hand or his left hand randomly. Whenever he felt like it, just press the button in his hand. After 5 or 10 minutes of looking at this guy's brain on the screen, the people who were running the test could predict which thumb he was going to press. Sometimes it was 15 seconds before he pressed his thumb. Even though the guy in the scanner thought, I'll press my thumb, I'll press my thumb. The decision to press his thumb on the button had been made out of his conscious awareness, even though he thought he was doing that in the moment. So when I read this bit of research, it occurred to me, we can't do anything. If you've got a pen or a cup on your desk or your table in front of you, and I ask you to pick that up, you could do that easily, could you not? Yeah. To build a robot to do that one simple task would be immense. You'd need the best mechanics, the best computer people to be able to build a robot to pick that cup up without spilling the contents, pour it into a hole in your face and put it down on the table without dropping it or crushing it. To build a robot to do that one simple task would be immense. But the moment I ask you to take a sip from your cup or take a drink or pick your pen up, your brain will run what's known as a schema. It will figure out everything you have to do to pick that cup up and have a drink from it before you move a muscle. It will be done in a millisecond. But it'll be figured out. Everything you have to do will be figured out before you move a muscle. Now, this bit of research, this is what it's done for me. I recognize I can't pick a cup up. I can't meet you and speak to you. I can't present to hundreds of people without my mind running to the outcome, without thinking about the outcome. That's how our brain works. I can't pick that cup up with my brain figuring out how to do it. I can't present without my brain running to the outcome. Now, in most cases, because our brain works on two, this is just, again, just a Freddy theory. I believe our brain is set up for two things. It wants you to give you pleasure or it wants to protect you. So if you like, it works for your pleasure and your survival. If you want to go back to us as basic human animals, if you like, it's there for procreation and survival. That's it. That's what our brain initially was geared for. If you look at animals in the wild, they're the two things they're thinking about. Generally, not thinking about a new BMW, they're thinking about procreation or survival. And at the base of our being, and I kind of, you know, when I speak about it to my son, he said, well, you know, you can't bring us back to that base beings that we are, but our brain is pretty much the same as it was 4 million years ago. It still functions in the same way. It still has the same kind of goals. So it's working on those two principles. So it's always trying to protect you. So when we think about a future event, our brain is going to figure out all the things that could possibly go wrong so we don't get hurt or don't get embarrassed. And it happens so often that we kind of forget that it's just our imagination. It's not real. There would have been a time, I can't remember when it was, because it's so long ago in the mist of time, when if I was presenting, whether it's in Las Vegas, whether it's talking to you, I might have been concerned about that. I might think about, what if I mess my words up? What if I go red? What if I don't know what I'm talking about? What if people think I'm stupid? All of the things that most of us think about when we go to do a presentation. But now, knowing what I know about my brain, I am going to imagine an outcome. I can't not. It's impossible to not imagine an outcome. But knowing that at this point in time, it's just my imagination, I might as well imagine the best outcome. I might as well imagine that they're all going to be friendly. They're going to love what I've got to say. And we're going to have a great time together. And that's how I enter that situation. When I step on stage, that's how I think it's going to happen. And generally it does, because that's how I think about it. But most people, and some of you are doing the JHA training, and when we first started the training, I know some of you have gone through it now and you've all done it. But when we first start the training, we say, in week 10 or week 9, we want you to do a group hypnosis session, and people panic. And they spend the next 5 months dreading the group session. Then when it comes around, like Elaine did today, they love it. And they think, why was I worrying for so long? How many years have you spent in year terms, hour terms, worrying about stuff that never actually happened? How much time and brain space have you taken up worrying about stuff that never happened? And we all do it. But once we recognize, and we have to bring ourselves back to reminding ourselves, it's just our imagination. It's not real. And we may as well imagine the best outcome. Either way, it's not real. But how we live our next moment is dependent on how we're imagining that outcome. Are you getting this? And it's easy for me to say this, and you can say, okay, well, I understand that these anxiety and stress I'm feeling is of no value to me. In fact, it's detrimental to me, but it doesn't stop me feeling anxious. And the reason for that is this: as human beings, we have this incredible ability to take what I call a complex pattern of behavior, something that's difficult to do. We learn it consciously, and then we allow it to become something we do automatically. Driving is probably the most obvious comparison. Excuse me. When we first learned to drive, there seems to be 100 things to think about. Got to think about changing gear, indicating, looking in the mirror, steering. And I don't know when you learned to drive, Tess, but if you might be younger than me, I don't know. But when I learned to drive, we had hand signals. I'm slowing down. I'm going round the corner. It's even worse. And a man walking in front with a red flag, just in case you've got more than 5 miles an hour. But you know, it's difficult. Then we learn to drive. And now most of you, if you haven't done it yet, you will do it. You're driving home from work. You pull up outside your house. You think, how do I get here? Just been through 3 sets of traffic lights. Can't remember whether they're red or green. You've been on total autopilot. You know, some of you play musical instruments. Some of you type. How incredible is that? Some of you have been to, what do they call it? Not aerobics. What's the thing where you do the dancing? That's aerobics, isn't it? Yeah, I had a girlfriend once, and she was having this presentation, and she wanted the boyfriends to do one of those aerobic classes, dress up in the tights and all that stuff. And I did it. And to try and learn a little bit of choreography, for most men, I'm sure, it's really difficult. You see these girls doing it in the gym. It's amazing. But once you've learned how to do that, then something that's complex, that's doing a bit of choreography, or reading or writing or walking or talking, and then allow it to become something you do automatically. It's incredible. And it works brilliantly for us. It enables us to function at the level we function as human beings. Where it works against us is when we learn an irrational fear. Because in that moment, when the dog bites you, or the wasp stings you, or someone scares you, in that moment, the same process occurs as it does with everything you've learned to do. So for those of you who are here because you want to be free of anxiety, for you to do that would be as difficult as you forgetting how to walk or speak or talk or drive your car or ride a bicycle, because it's no longer something you think about. It's something you just do, that your body does automatically. It's as if when we create one of these skills like driving or reading or writing or speaking a different language, I know some of you got 3 or 4 languages, the moment that occurs, it's as if we create a part of us that's doing that job for us. And that's what it's like for you, because most of you will say, yeah, Freddie, I really want to be free of this anxiety. I know it's irrational. I know it's useless. But it's almost like as a part of me continues to go, what if, what if, what if, even though it's stopping you from doing what you want to do. So when we do this work, and can't call it work, can you? Talking to people is hardly work. But when we do this thing together tonight, I am going to speak directly to the part of you that's running that protective mechanism, that's making you aware of everything that could possibly go wrong. I will ask it to explain what it's doing for you. It's obvious it's trying to keep you safe and well. But I'll ask the question anyway. And then I'm going to ask you to go to your creative mind, part of you that dreams, that has ideas, that makes plans, and allow that wonderful creative mind to run and flow and work and come up with lots of new choices. Other ways of keeping you safe and protected, but at the same time allowing you complete and utter freedom from the irrational fear, anxiety, and stress that you've been feeling, because you don't need it. No, we all have these fears, don't we? I mean, I don't, strangely enough. I'm saying we all have these fears. I don't have them anymore. You know, especially about getting older and about dying. For most of it, it's just kind of a dread. And we can worry about that. I had a client years ago, and he had a morbid fear of dying. This guy was the same age as me. This must have been 20 plus years ago, because I was in my early 40s, and he was the same age as me. And he came in with this morbid fear of dying, to the point where he hadn't worked for about 10 years. He didn't go to work because he was afraid of dying. And so I spoke to him and we did some work together, and he felt a lot better. And he came back for a second session. I must have been having a bad day. You know, I'm like, I am human. And I don't know, this guy was kind of getting on my nerves. Because he went away and he felt much better. And then he said, but yeah, you know, but I'm still, you know, I'm still feeling it. And I said, look, I'm going to say something to you. I said, you won't like it. I said, I must have been having a bad day. And I said, he said, what? I said, it's going to be a shock. I said, but I'm going to tell you anyway. He said, what? I said, you're going to die. He went, no, don't say it. Don't say it. I said, you're going to die. He went, please don't say it. Don't. I said, I'm telling you, you're going to die. I said, I'll tell you something else. So am I. I said, but you're going to spend the next 25 years worrying about dying, then you're going to die. I'm going to spend the next 25 years not worrying about dying, and I'm going to die. Either way, we're both going to die. Don't make any difference. But how we get to that point depends on how we think about it and what we do. There was a brilliant TV series called Band of Brothers. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's a great film based on the Second World War and these young soldiers. And I think it was the second episode, but I remember it clearly. And there was a young soldier. It was based on the Americans' first detachment or wherever it was. And anyway, this young guy, he's only probably 19, 20. There's bombs going off and bullets flying everywhere, and he's in a foxhole, and he's pulled another body on top of him. He's scared, which he would be, you know, he's 19 years old, and he's scared witless. And so the lieutenant, I believe it was the lieutenant, he stands on the edge of this foxhole, not ducking or anything else, bullets and bombs going off everywhere, and he looks at him, he says, your problem is you think you're going to survive. He said, the moment you realize you're not going to survive, all of that fear will be gone. Once we realize we're not going to survive this, you know, we're all going to be the same in 100 years. I don't care who you are. I don't know how old you are. We've just got to say, I'm going to live this moment, because there is only this moment. I'm going to enjoy this moment. I'm going to savor this drink. I'm going to enjoy this bit of food. I'm going to enjoy speaking to Vicky. I'm going to enjoy speaking to Rosalind when I meet her, and Diana. I'm going to enjoy this very, very moment. You know, I've got two big apple trees out there and they're waving around like that. One could come through that window any moment and that would be my lot. I could have been worrying about something for 3 weeks. It's never going to happen because a tree comes through the window. Do you understand what I'm saying? We've got to start living in this moment. We've got to start making the most of this moment. It's natural to feel anxious, but we have to keep reminding ourselves that at this point in time, it's just our imagination. Anyone here this evening that wants to be free of their anxiety and stress is absolutely going to be free of it. As I said, you know, as you know me now, you know, I'm not a normal kind of therapist, but I'm not a normal kind of person if you think about it. Andreas is laughing because he knows it's true. And so some of you might have heard me do this before, but here's what's going to happen. As I said to you, if you're worrying about the future, then it's just your imagination. So here's what's going to happen. In a moment, I'm going to sing to you, right? It's not going to be pleasant. You do have a moment to switch the sound off. You know, if you don't want to hear it, it's fine. But if you do leave your sound on, you're going to be stuck with my voice in your head for the rest of your life. Every time you start to worry about something in the future. Because here's the song, all right? Get ready. Diana's already crying. She hasn't even heard me sing yet. All right, get ready. Because I say you've got a moment, switch your sound off. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with my voice in your head forever. So from today, whenever you start to feel anxious or worried about the future, you're going to hear my voice singing this song. It's just my imagination running away with me. Just my imagination running away with me. And you think, oh shit, there he goes again. But you won't be able to carry on with that imagination. You're going to bring yourself back to this very moment. And you may as well imagine the best outcome. Either way, it's not real. Okay. Now, in a moment, I'm going to hypnotize you. I will speak directly to the part of you that runs that protective mechanism. The first thing to do is thank it for taking care of you for so long. It's done a brilliant job. And then I'm going to ask it to explain what it's doing for you. Then I'm going to ask you to go to your creative mind and find other ways of keeping you safe and protected, but at the same time allowing you complete and utter freedom from the irrational fears, anxiety, and stress that you've been feeling. And when that happens, I promise you, you'll be unable to experience that stress and anxiety. I'm going to ask you to use your imagination, and I'm going to take you out of yourself for a while, and then we're going to obliterate. That's a great word. I've just thought that one up. I haven't used that for years. We're going to obliterate all of your irrational fears and anxieties, all right? So are there any questions before we get into this? Any questions at all? And for those of you who have got no anxiety or stress, then you're just going to feel incredible afterwards. Even less anxiety free than you were before. You're going to be feeling great, all right? So are you ready for this? I see Nolan's got a blanket out. Eileen will be laying down in a moment and disappearing off the screen. Vicky's getting comfortable. You're a load of hypno junkies. I don't know what I've created here. All right, okay. So if you're ready to do this, get into this with me. Now, you can listen to me if you want, but I don't mean this rudely. I'm not interested in your conscious mind. Your conscious mind can go off anywhere it wants. Your unconscious mind will hear everything I've got to say, and it will take from what's ready for you to free yourself forever. What I'd like you to do, because there are two things that I symptom scale, if you like. One is fear and one is pain. So if you are feeling anxious, doesn't matter if you're not, because you're just going to get into the hypnosis anyway, but if you are feeling anxious about something, or you're feeling stressed about something, I want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like excruciatingly anxious and 0 being no anxiety at all, I want you to put that number in the chat box. So whatever your anxiety level is at the moment, I want you to put that number in the chat box, because in a moment, you won't be able to feel it. And you'll forget that you're ever anxious. Then you look at the number and think, oh yeah, it was an 8. And now I can't feel it, all right? So if you're ready to do this, remember, you are loved, and you are loving. Get into that. Think how incredible you are. Right, if you're ready, what I'd like you to do is this. Get yourself comfortable. Place your hands separately if you can. Just, place them beside you or on your legs. Place your feet separately so your legs aren't crossed, your arms aren't crossed. And when you're ready to do this, I want you to take that beautiful breath in. Hold it for a second. And as you breathe out, allow your eyes to close. Only as quickly as you're ready to free yourself from every ounce of irrational fear and anxiety. That's right. With your eyes closed, you can begin to relax. Although at times you may be more aware of some things than you were before. The sound of my voice, the comfort of the chair, sounds in the room, sounds outside the room, certain sensations, the beating of your heart, and the thoughts and images that drift into your mind automatically. Just for a moment, think about the people you love, people that love you. See those faces, feel that love, see those smiles. Think of a moment in your life where you just felt brilliant. You maybe laughed for no reason, or you had a feeling of joy, or a moment of gratitude. But think of that right now. And as you do that, every negative limiting belief is wiped from your mind, replaced by a feeling of love and a feeling of joy. I'm going to snap my fingers and that feeling of relaxation is going to go right down through your body like a bliss anesthesia. The chair will support you no matter how relaxed your body becomes. Feel that feeling flooding down through your body. Nobody wants anything. No one expects anything. There's nothing for you to do but to go into that beautiful state of hypnosis. That's right. Just dropping down through space and time. Down toward that place of total bliss. Get a sense of it happening automatically. Imagine there's nothing you can do about that. Every word I say just doubles that wonderful feeling. And everything I say now is your reality. Every suggestion I give you, your mind and body will act upon. At a molecular, cellular, neurological levels, now your reality. You have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. That unconscious mind, the back of the mind, can continue to hear, to understand and respond to those things I might say without the need for you to do anything at all. It's so much easier for the conscious mind simply to relax and enjoy that letting go. That's right. Letting go even of the effort it takes to make the effort that it might take. To tell the exact position of arms, legs, or the entire body now that seems to drift through time and space. That wonderful free-floating place of effortless relaxation and letting go. Allowing events to occur in their own time, in their own way, as you drift as a mind. And that mind drifts without boundaries, without borders, without limits. Get a sense of yourself out there, living your life the way you want to live it. Free of every ounce of anxiety and stress. Living in the moment and enjoying that moment. That's right, feel it now. I know it's okay to feel that good. Knowing there is only this moment. knowing that the core of your being, the essence of who you are, is pure light and love and joy. That's your birthright. It's okay to feel that good. As you drift deeper, deeper, deeper down now. And as you drift even deeper, you can use your unconscious mind as a resource you can learn from and really have an experience, one that's satisfactory to you. All that's needed to build a good rapport with the unconscious is to have a line of communication. Sometimes the unconscious communicates by movement. And it may be that the eye reflex changes and the eyes flicker. That's right. Or the head moves slightly. Or a muscle twitches involuntarily. That's right. You can try and keep those eyes still when they flicker even more. It may be that the left hand moves all by itself and starts to feel lighter and lighter, starts to lift up and drift up, or the right arm goes even higher. That's right, body moving, eyes flickering, head moving. Only the unconscious mind knows which it will use. And so as you drift deeply into hypnosis, even deeper than before, I'd like your unconscious mind to search for all the things in your life. Pick one thing or many things that have been making you feel anxious or stressed or afraid. Something you'd love to be free of. Something that no longer suits you. And when the unconscious mind's made that choice, I'd like it to increase those signals so that you and I understand that it's made that choice. That's right. And even as you become aware of certain sensations, one thing that is of vital and utmost importance to your future, your freedom, your life, your happiness, your joy, something that's been scaring you, something that's been making you anxious, something that no longer suits you. When the unconscious mind's made that choice, I want it to increase those signals. Now I'd like to ask that part to explain to you what it's been doing for you, why you felt that anxiety and stress. When you fully understand why you've been feeling that anxiety, I'd like it to increase those signals so that you and I understand that you know the reason. Now I'd like to ask that part to go to your creative mind, the part that dreams and has ideas and makes plans, and allow that wonderful creative mind to run and flow and work and come up with lots of new choices. Other ways of keeping you safe, well, and protected, but at the same time allowing you complete and utter freedom from every ounce of irrational fear, anxiety, and stress. Allow you the natural concerns everyone should have so you can be happy and free. But allow you the freedom from the anxiety and stress. Each time it identifies a new choice, I want it to increase those signals. That's right, 10, 20, 100 new choices now. It's working brilliant for you. And as that part searches, get a sense of yourself once again, drifting up out of your body. The essence of who you are, drifting further and further away from that body in that chair. Get a sense of that now, drifting so high. You can look down, you can see the planet Earth below you. Get a sense of that now. And notice how your perspective changes. Things that had seemed overwhelming no longer have any power over you. Things that had seemed hard or difficult to achieve no longer have any power over you. Every irrational fear and anxiety no longer has any power over you. In your mind's eye, get a sense of a target, like an archery target. Get a sense of the coloured bands in the very centre of that target. In the centre of the target is every ounce of irrational fear, every negative, limiting belief that was ever placed on you, every ounce of anxiety and stress that's ever held you back is in the center of that target. In a moment, I'll make this sound. As I make that sound, you'll be fired, shot like an arrow, straight through that target. It's going to be an incredible experience into a space of total bliss. But I want you to be brave, because as you go through the center of the target, you may experience that anxiety and stress even more intensely for a split second, a millisecond. But be brave. This is the last time this is ever going to affect you. So get ready. As I make that sound, you'll be fired, shot like an arrow, straight through that target, straight out the other side in a millisecond. Get ready. Now you're out the other side, just drifting in that space, just you and the sound of my voice. Once again, think about how loved you are, how incredible you are, the people that love you, the people whose lives are different because they've known you. An understanding of just how incredible you are, because you are incredible and you are loved and you are loved and you are loving. Feel that love now like a burning hot sun in the summer sky. Shrink it down to a white hot nuclear powered ball of light. Pull it into your heart. Feel your heart expanding with that feeling of love and joy and light. Feel your body flooded with that feeling. And notice as your mind and body is flooded with that feeling of love and light and joy, that every ounce of anxiety and stress is gone. Because it cannot coexist in your mind and body with that feeling of love and light. And as you drift in that space, now I'd like to ask that part responsible for that protective mechanism to pick one of the new choices, the one that it believes will keep you safe, well, and protected, but at the same time allowing you complete and utter freedom from the anxiety and stress that was holding you back. When it's done that, I want it to increase those signals so you and I understand. That's right, even as you go deeper and deeper into that feeling. Now I'd like to ask that part to take this new choice, integrate it into your body and mind at a molecular, cellular, neurological level that will allow you that freedom forever, to keep you safe and well, but allow you the freedom from the anxiety and stress. And when it's done it completely, I want it to increase those signals so you and I understand. That's right. I'd like to thank that part that runs that protective mechanism for looking after you for all these years, taking care of you and making those changes now. And from today, no matter how hard you try, you will never experience that anxiety, that dread, that stress again. The harder you try and remember what it felt like to be stressed or anxious or afraid, the more courageous, the more confident you become. From today, no matter how hard you try, you will never experience that anxiety and stress again. The harder you try and remember what it felt like, the further away it goes. I know you're going to enjoy being happily unconcerned, unable to remember to be anxious or afraid, because now you're going to enter every day knowing you are loved, knowing you are protected. Get a sense of that now. You know, it's easy to forget. Put our keys down, forget where you put them. It's easy to forget. I don't know, it'll be a minute from now, or 5 minutes from now, or 20 years from now, when you suddenly realize you've been thinking about something else entirely. And every ounce of anxiety and stress disappeared right here, right now, replaced by a feeling of freedom, a steely determination to live in this moment, to enjoy this moment, to know that you are incredible, that you are loved and you are loved. Get a sense of it now. A feeling of gratitude, a feeling of love, feeling to it. From today, no matter how hard you try, you will never experience that anxiety again. The harder you try and remember what it felt like, the further away it goes. Go over with your unconscious as often as you need to know that you're free. Free to be, free to enjoy. Only when the unconscious mind knows and has made those changes at a molecular, cellular, neurological level, and allows the conscious mind to accept the changes made. Because in a moment, I'm going to count to 10. This feeling of calm, inner confidence is going to stay with you and grow stronger day by day. Every suggestion I've given you, your mind and body will act upon. On 8, your eyes will open. You will feel incredible, unable to experience any of the irrational fear and anxiety. And on 10, that feeling of freedom, that lightness of being, which is your birthright, is going to grow stronger day by day. As you set about your life, free of every ounce of anxiety, free to be in this moment. Get a sense of that now. 1, feeling absolutely wonderful. 2, to create the life, the body, the health, the happiness that you want. 3, a feeling of freedom from every irrational fear and anxiety. 4, feel the force of that freedom and calm inner confidence now, flooding your body and mind. 5, feeling incredibly alive now. 6, 7, 8, eyes opening, feeling absolutely incredible. 9, 10. Okay, try and feel the anxiety now and find you cannot. On a scale of 1 to 10, where's that anxiety and stress gone now? Put those zeros in the checkbox. It's just a suggestion. Well, look, I hope you enjoyed the experience. Great to see you all again. Yeah, I know a lot of you are doing the training with me. I know some of you have done the training, some of you haven't. But we run this training, and we just started a new, my son calls them a cohort 10, the next diploma course. Have a look at it. See, you're on it, Christina? Enjoying it? Good, excellent. I know Vicky's done it. I know a lot of you have done it and enjoyed it. We're starting another one in March as well. I think that's for the Australians and New Zealanders. So we're doing it at 7 o'clock in the morning, I think, something like that. But anyway, have a look, check it out. If I can help you in any way, I will do. But it's great to see you all again. And have a beautiful weekend. Fear not. It was never real in the first place.